So this video is to talk about your core, not only how to engage it and how to engage it on your runs, but also how to build your awareness of maintaining your core in the correct position while you're doing various exercises that you'll find on your programs, okay? So just to revisit something that you're probably familiar with that I've talked about before, is the idea of your thumb being on the top of your rib cage and your little finger being on the top of your hips, and imagining that that distance is the same on each side. Now, when we stand, we can quite easily sort of tip our hips forward, which creates an arch on our back, which lengthens that space. And to get our core in the right position, which is a neutral spine, we want to just feel that we very slightly close that back, just to bring our pelvis so it's lined, it's straight, okay? So hopefully you just were able to see that very tight, tiny little move. And that's just this sort of light sense of this pulling slightly together by maybe a centimetre or so, but then also feeling the muscles pull in and draw up here. It's not like Pilates where you're trying to pull your belly button back to your spine. We're not going that far. This is what we call bracing. So it's a sort of a pull down, a pull in, a pull up. You hear that? And I don't know, I always, when I used to do one-to-one, when I was a kid, my dad used to say, go on, punch me, punch me. And, you know, to sort of show how strong he was. And it's, I would do that with my sisters as well. So, but it is exactly that. If you were just sort of in that playful mood and you were going, come on, that would be the right sensation. But, you know, no one's going to punch you, so you don't have to really sort of tense and tighten up. But it is just this idea of just locking this in and keeping it nice and engaged. And just learning to recognise when you're losing that, or when you might lose it on two sides, or you might lose it on one side, okay? So I'm going to get on the floor and show you how you would do this from a dead bug point of view. So dead bugs are a great exercise for training this. So in that position, you're going to be lying on the floor, and you're just going to go through the same drill again. That you just think about doing that same sort of slight locking in, engaging, and holding that there, and really focusing on that being tight. Now, a good thing to do when you are, before you start, is to be in this position and very lightly push you back into the floor. That can help get the feeling of this engagement. But you really should actually be able to feel in this position your stomach muscles burning a bit. We want to learn how to control them and to keep them activated, to keep them working hard for us when we're working. So with a dead bug exercise, I'm constantly thinking of checking back in with my core to make sure I'm pulled in, keeping it tight, and can feel that burn. And as we go back and forwards with our hands and feet, we're really trying to keep this position locked in all the time, keep that burning sensation feeling on the stomach, and not feel any movement through our torso at all. The only thing that should be moving is our arms and our legs. And if we start to notice that gap between our ribs and hips starts to widen, which means you can feel your back peeling off the floor, you just have to stop, reset, and carry on. Okay, so it can be a good place to start on a dead bug, to really start to familiarise yourself with that sensation, because you can use the floor as feedback to push into. It's a little bit harder to do it when we go this way around, when we're going into a plank position, because we've got no floor now. But it is important that we learn how to lock in and get that same sensation in this position as well. So to go up into a plank, I start on all fours, get that feeling of locking in, replicating what we did standing up and lying down, and then now, keeping that held, put one foot out, so look at my back, it shouldn't move, and then put the other foot out. And now, I really want to think about pulling my core in. So really doing that same thing where I'm locking in, I'm keeping everything nice and tight, and I want to maintain that for the whole duration of the plank. Now, as you progress, we'll do different versions of the plank that might involve touching your shoulders, that might involve stepping your feet in and out. Whatever you're doing, whatever variation, It's all about being able to maintain this and knowing that you're not feeling that gap stretch and the work going onto your back when we're doing anything in that position. Another good exercise to build that awareness of the core is a kneeling shoulder press. So in this position now, you're going to be in a half kneel, and I want you just to make sure that your feet are level, and this joint here, which is your hip joint, needs to lock out, all right? So there's no little bend here. That joint is locked out, which means that you are contracting your glute. That's going to give you some stability. But then we want to get into the awareness of this position of the same thing, the same rule of noticing that the distance between our ribs and hips is the same and we're locked in. And from there, we do our shoulder press. So what often happens in this, I'll put the weight down, is as we lift up, we can start to stretch and open our rib cage here, so we're losing this engagement of the core. So we want to make sure that in this position we're aware of that and we're keeping this nice and even on each side. And this is the position that we would do a kneeling shoulder press from. And the reason we're doing it like this is because we want to start to really think about training our core. Now, it doesn't matter what exercise you're doing, this is about us maintaining our core's ability to maintain the integrity of our spine, to keep this neutral spine, to keep our body nice and solid and supported. Another time that we might be wanting to pay attention to this is as we do lunges, as we do reverse lunges. And again, it's the same. We want to be in this position as we come down and maintaining our core and driving up. And as we step back and then drive forward, we're not losing that, okay? We're not coming down and almost bending up to almost use our back to sort of spring us up. We're keeping our core engaged, solid all the time, and we're making our glute work harder while our core keeps us still, okay? Our core keeps our back still. So that's key to notice. When you get reverse lunges with a twist in your program, it's the same thing. We're going back, we're keeping that engagement, but now we're going to bring a twist. It's fine to twist around in our core, but we're not losing the integrity of that space. Is consistent between our ribs and our hips as we turn and come back and drive up. From a running point of view, this translates into our runs in this way, because we want to, as we run, we're going to push back. Okay, we're going to be pushing back. And again, we want to be making sure we're doing the same thing, that we're maintaining this core as we push back. And in order to do that, we're going to lock out this hip joint again that we talked about before when we were kneeling, which fires up the glute automatically. When you collapse and come forward, it switches off that glute, and the whole posture's changed, okay? So your core has a really integral part, and this distance here and how we pull in and keep this braced in helping our shoulders line up above our hips, our head to be in the right place, and for us to be able to stay in this place as we push back and keep our glute doing the work, because our core is stabilising our body. There are also a couple of exercises that we can do to really start to train ourselves to hold that core as we push the leg back, okay? So I'm going to show you one of them here. It can be done from a kneeling plank position, engaging here and kicking back. But we're not letting that gap change. So we're starting to get used to this sensation of pushing back with our leg, but maintaining the integrity of that locked in core. We can make that harder by going up on our toes. Could you see that? So turning your toes under, lifting in, and then doing the same thing now. That challenges our core even more. Or we might be doing planks, where we're lifting our legs back. Can you see? And not moving our core. So all of these exercises are designed to strengthen our core, build our awareness of maintaining that, so we are aware of when it's staying like this, and also aware of when we lose that control, and then thinking about how we translate that onto our runs so that we're able to maintain this position while we're moving. Okay, that's the key thing. We want to make sure all this work that we're doing in the gym translates to when we're out on our runs, because that's how we're going to become stronger, more resilient to injury, and better runners.